This is like day 1,000,005 of the trip, but we are now on the southern border extension, so I'm going to renumber the days. This is day 1, U.S.-Mexico border. We got in Friday evening. We flew from Honduras, from Tegucigalpa to Los Angeles, and Tim, my husband, met us there, as well as a bunch of other folks. Only about 7 of us who were in Central America for the past 2 weeks came on this part of the trip, and then about 30 new people joined us. So we have some fresh, chipper folks in the group, which is for better or for worse, for those of us who've been doing this for 2 weeks now. And so we are in Tijuana. Yesterday we crossed the border by foot, and that was a bit of a process, but I think I've been through worse customs situations. Once again, it is mind-boggling and humbling, and a good reminder of our privilege as Americans, how powerful a U.S. passport is. We can pretty much go and come from wherever we please without having to think too much about it, which is not true of much of the world. And after that, we met with some folks who are doing work with migrants who are at the border. We've had this policy in the United States for a while, where people coming to the U.S. border to seek asylum have to wait in Mexico. It's a very controversial policy, and it's hurting a lot of people. There are thousands of homeless people on the streets and in shelters here who are seeking asylum to save themselves and their families, and the conditions are stark. We went to one of the shelters yesterday, and from that I want to tell you a story about a church that revitalized by doing the work of Jesus Christ. And in their revitalization and in their reconnection to God's mission to care for other people, in 2016, they said the first wave of Haitians came through. In 2016, a wave of Haitian refugees wound up in Tijuana. And this church, it was about 250-member Mexican church, decided to make space. They had lots of room, so they said, we'll bring these refugees in, they can stay here. And about 220 people left their church. They went from 250 members to 30 members because they did what Scripture says and took in the migrant refugee. They fed them, they clothed them, they gave them shelter. The conditions are not great at the shelter. It's essentially a warehouse with tents in it and some cots and beds. They do have a small farm there. They have rudimentary facilities. They don't have laundry facilities, so clothing is hand wash only. There's no way really to wash blankets well. People are really crammed in like sardines. We've heard there are better shelters, but that's not one of the best, but it's also not one of the worst. At least is run by honest Christian people who are genuinely loving folks. Anyway, the church began to grow a little bit more again after that. The numbers went up in membership a bit. Many of the Haitian refugees either began to integrate into life here or did manage to migrate into the United States. And then the waves of Central American migrants began coming through, and people left the church again as they invited this new wave of refugees into their space. And today they only have about 25 members at the church, and yet they are running this robust, huge shelter to care for hundreds of people. They said that there are about 200 there right now, and that's low for them. That's quite low. All that to say, we sometimes get focused on numbers of people in the pews, amount of money in the bank as our gauge for church vitality. And yet here's this congregation of 25 people who never knows where the next donation or funding is going to come from, and they're taking care of hundreds of people on a regular basis. They have international partners that are helping them do this work. So take heart that there are good people out there that are doing the right thing to care for people who are seeking to make their lives better for them and their families. And a healthy church doesn't always look like 2 or 4 or 800 members who are happy all the time. Sometimes it looks like letting those who are unwilling to do the work of Christ go somewhere else so that the work of Christ can be done.
Okay, so the first easiest thing is actually call your congressional representatives. Don't write the postcard, don't send an email, call. Because the calls are actually a thing that they have to pay attention to, and somebody will talk to you. And I found we get a lot of congressional delegations down here, and people have no clue what's going on.
But they weren't always good about sharing that kitchen with the Central Americans.
Entonces el americano se adueñó de este cuarto.
So then the Central Americans.
Is that inappropriate? Is it cultural appropriation, or is it like, it's mystifying. There's the border wall. There's a Taco Bell. Border wall. Taco Bell. Border wall. Taco Bell. Right. Yeah.